Well, I'll let our speaker today, longtime Petaluma resident, give you more of his background, but I wanted to let you know that you can read his great writings, his insightful, capturing moments or words about food in our local fare in any number of local publications. He's a regular writer in the Argus Courier, has feature articles in his Tip of My Tongue column. He is also the Historic Downtown Life Food and Travel Editor. He's got a column in the Sonoma County Gazette, and he's had articles syndicated in the Press Democrat, Sonoma Magazine, and the Argus, of course. He's a regular contributor to Positively Petaluma, and he is an elite reviewer on Yelp. So please join me in welcoming Houston Porter.
Thank you so much for having me. I just want to preface this whole talk about barbecue that I am not an expert by any means. I'm just someone who likes to eat. I write halfway decently. I am not a chef. I always say I'm not a cooker, I'm an eater. So I like to eat. I don't know a ton about the dynamics of barbecuing, although I eat a lot of it, so I do know a bit about it. Basically, first off, we always hear barbecue. And that term gets used in a lot of different ways. Here in California, we kind of call everything barbecue, but technically, you go to the South, they'll tell you that barbecue is indirect heat, slow cooking. It's usually for larger cuts of meat that need more time, as opposed to grilling, which is what you do on what we normally call barbecues. Let's see if I can. Working on the computer, but it's not up on here.
It's a monster. Ski patrol is here.
So grilling is direct heat. It's normally for things that you want to cook quickly: burgers, hot dogs, chicken breasts. Barbecuing technically is so that this is grilling. So I do a little bit of cooking. If it's on a grill, I can cook it. And this is barbecuing. This is Keith's Barbecue Beast. He's out of Windsor. Comes down here a lot. It's a 39 Dodge fire truck that he's turned into his grill or his barbecue. And then there's smoking. Smoking is a subsect of barbecuing, and that's at an even lower temperature, even less direct heat. But like I said, call it what you want to call it. We tend to call it all barbecue out here. It all tastes good, so you go with what you want to call it. Now, barbecue does. There's three main ingredients of barbecue: meat, heat, and seasoning. And when it comes to meat, I suggest going to a whole animal butcher like Thistle Meats, like Petaluma Market. They're getting to see the whole animal, so they know its quality. If they don't like how the animal looks, they can return it. Now, that's not to say you can't find great meat at Costco. We have great steaks from Costco. But keep in mind, you don't know where it comes from. And for the most part, it's not supporting local farmers. So if you're buying it from local places, you're supporting the community here. Next is, after meat, is the heat. Now, there's always going to be a debate between gas grills and charcoal grills. And that it's a personal preference for most people. For most of the things that we cook in the backyard, obviously gas is much easier to clean, easier to get up and running. The flavor that you get, that everybody likes to attribute to charcoal, you get it in gas also. The majority of the flavor that you get on your burgers, that nice smoky flavor, is actually from the drippings falling down into the heat. So it doesn't really matter what the heat source is. And then there's what we call hybrid, which is you can take your gas grill and put chips, hickory chips or mesquite, to help kind of smoke the food as you cook it. And then finally, you have your meat, you have your heat, and then you have seasoning. And it doesn't matter how good your meat is. You can have grass-fed, grass-finished beef. It needs at least a little bit of seasoning to bring the flavor out. If you take two identical steaks, put a little bit of salt and pepper on one and nothing on the other, it doesn't matter whether you just got it from one of your own cows. It's going to taste better. It's going to have more flavor profile if you put a little bit of seasoning. And then all the way up to any types of flavors that you want. Here in town, we're very lucky. We have Sonoma Spice Queen. She has a lot of different flavors you can try, seasonings, dry rubs. And then our favorite, which is F.A. Niños. They have dry rubs, they have barbecue sauces, and they have hot sauces. They're available at all the grocery stores, and we basically, anytime we grill, so there's some F.A. Niños on there somewhere. Throughout the U.S., historically, there are 4 different, I'm just going to check to see if I'm supposed to be on another slide. We're losing my meat slides. Some of our local pigs. I am a big fan of pigs. My sister raises pigs, so we always get a good selection. Some of them have the minerals, a little more iron in them. They do start small and cute. And then here's a little bit of tenderizing, a little young age tenderizing. So no, I did grow up, my parents were hippies, moved out from the East Coast, so even though we grew up out here in the country and slaughtered some of our own animals, we always were taught to appreciate where your food comes from, which is another reason to shop at a place like Thistle Meats, because they're only buying from ethical animal raisers. So it's just, you know for sure from them that you're getting something that's been treated well. And this is out at Fallon Hills Ranch. There's a couple of ranches that you can buy directly from. Fallon Hills Ranch is one. Stemple Creek is another. And this was a dinner that we went to out at Fallon Hills. All right, I'll get to this in just a second. So in the United States, there's historically or traditionally there are 4 barbecue styles. Now the caveat there is that we're from California, so we do it the way we want to do it. And those styles have kind of gotten blended over the years. Now still, if you go to Kansas City, you can get traditional Kansas City barbecue. But even there, they'll modify it. They'll take what flavors are in season or what their customers like. But the 4 main types are Carolina, Kansas City, Memphis, and Texas. And just briefly, Carolinas, they prefer pork. They like to use hickory for smoking. Their famous dishes are pulled pork and whole hog. So if you're in the Carolinas and pork is your thing, they also like to use what usually distinguishes one of these is the sauce, their preferred sauce. And they tend to like vinegary sauces, mustard sauces. Then you move to Memphis, not that far away. Still, they like pork. Use hickory, also some apple wood, pecan wood. They're big on ribs. Both they call them wet ribs and dry ribs. Dry ribs are dry rubs. You put the sauce on. A lot of people prefer their ribs that way. And then there's wet, which comes all sloppy. And their sauce tends to be a tomato vinegar. Move down to Texas, beef country. So that's their specialty. They use mesquite and oak because that's what's available down there traditionally. Obviously, brisket is big in Texas. You go to a lot of other barbecue places around the country, you won't find brisket. And they like a spicy, tangy tomato-based sauce. And then finally, you get to Kansas City, and because they've historically been a hub for produce or meat, they tend to use all meats. They tend to use all different types of wood to smoke their meats. But they are best known for their ribs. Kansas City ribs is a pretty famous thing. And their sauce is a tomato-based sauce with kind of molasses to it. So a couple of years ago, I had just applied at Mendocino County DA's office, which is my full-time job. Writing just pays for the food when I'm lucky. It pays enough for the meals. But I just applied there, and I had some time off. We had a wedding on the East Coast. My mother, who's here today, Carol Porter, she and my brother had always wanted to drive cross country. We were planning on doing that from New York back to California after the wedding. But the way that car rentals work and prices, it was actually cheaper to rent a vehicle here, drive it back east, and drive it back. And because I had the time, I decided to do that. I had 6 weeks, and so I went on kind of a barbecue hunt. Just looking for great barbecue across the United States. Kind of one of my ideas why I was doing it was I hypothesized that food isn't as regional as it used to be. because of the free flow of information. I mean, you can look up any recipe online. You can get any spice online. You can get any meat that you want. So although there are still regional differences, they've kind of been blurred. And also coming from California, we have great cuisine here that traditionally can be found elsewhere, and I think it's excellent here. So I wanted to test that. And so that's why I figured I'd drive around the country looking for barbecue. One of the first things I learned was don't go to the most popular place. Just because Yelp has it listed #1 doesn't mean that that's the best place to go. Ask around. When you get into town, if you're hungry for lunch, ask the person at the gas station when you fill up. Ask someone. I've actually, while I was driving across the country, would just roll my window down at the stoplight and ask someone. Because you're going to get the local feel there. A lot of times with the rating sites, they get momentum going because people say, oh, that's the one everybody's visiting. They go to that. It continues to grow momentum. And it's not always the best. Although not barbecue, this is a famous hot dog stand. I started my trip at Santa Monica Pier because I wanted to drive Route 66. And this was there. I recognized it. Big, long line. It was expensive. It was interesting, but it wasn't. After I ate that, there were a few more carts I saw that were more local. And so that's my first advice on when you're searching for barbecue. Don't just go to the place that has the big name. You can find, if a barbecue place is still in business, it's probably pretty good. I mean, luckily the bar is pretty high. This is a spot in Arizona that I stopped at along the way. Excellent food. It was in I can't even remember the name of the town, but we pulled in. They had smokers going. And I do have to say, I had to ask, are we going to eat before the slides? Because when I was putting these together last night at about 11, it was making me really, really hungry. As I traveled on, this is in Oklahoma. This is just a little side of the road. I mean, you would call it a dive bar. But it was neat to see all the locals coming in. They knew everybody. They were curious where I came from, what I was doing. So my next advice, get the sampler. Get the sampler because, remember, this is going to be a once in a lifetime. I'm probably never going to be here again. I wanted to see what they had, which this particular sampler included fried bologna. Because that's a thing, I guess, in Oklahoma. But, you know, it's a great way to get to see what the locals eat. And obviously, while on a road trip, there's all the biggest. This is the biggest fork in the world. It's in Oklahoma. Now, I don't know if it's a real fork. I don't know if it goes into the ground or not, but they said it was the biggest fork. All right, so my next bit of advice, don't be afraid of gas station food. Now, especially in the South, because in the South, a lot of times the gas station is the only grocery store, it's the only place you can really get food. And so this was, I was in Oklahoma, driving along, stopped to get gas, went inside, it looked like nothing special, it was a bunch of fried food. And I was hungry. I grabbed the catfish. I don't normally eat fish, but I do like catfish. And the best fried catfish I'd ever had here at a gas station in the backwoods of Oklahoma. Sat on that bench and watched people fill up their tank and ate my catfish. This is the #1 barbecue joint in, I think it was St. Louis. St. Louis or Kansas City. And again, it was one that had popped up when I was looking on the maps, and I went, and it was actually very disappointing. So I put this picture in here just because that's the spot that everybody says, online to go to doesn't always mean. And unfortunately, this particular place that you paid when you ordered, and I couldn't resist buying one of the shirts because it was so cool, only to get my meal, which was really boring. And realized I just bought a shirt to a place that I didn't really want to advertise. So continued on Route 66, finished out Route 66, went to New York, had a couple of days to wait for family to fly in, and found that the Hudson Valley, just north of New York, people from New York City will call it upstate, but everybody else knows it's the Hudson Valley. So this is on the Hudson River, barbecue joint. There was about 10 of them within a 5-mile area of each other. And it really did end up proving my point that you don't have to be in the region where the food comes from to find great food. They had excellent barbecue, and it was in New York. There were a couple of other places I hit. This is in the actual town of Hudson. They had excellent barbecue. We're going to come back to these guys in a second. Another place, I think this is in Kingston, which is right outside of where Woodstock was. And again, go for the sampler. Go for the sampler pie. You're gonna get to taste everything. Once the family got into town, this barbecue was so good that I took them back to it. And I still believe that this was the single best barbecue experience that I've ever had. Not necessarily that each piece, that the brisket was the best I ever had, but as a whole, with the ambiance, it was the best. And this is a gentleman who moved from, grew up outside of Washington, D.C., got professionally trained, and moved to New York, and he brought his skills with him. And there you are in New York, I found. Now, I didn't know until I returned from the trip that this would be the best, but at the time, it was confirming what I thought, which is, with the free flow of goods and information, you can find great food everywhere. You don't have to be in the home region. This reminds me of, also try the sides, because unlike any other type of food, barbecue joints will do really wild and crazy things with sides. Obviously, I think most people have heard of deep fried pickles, or called frickles. I always get those because I love pickles. The ladies in the group at this lunch wanted some veggies, so we had pickles and pickled veggies. I thought that was enough, but you'll see there's a little salad up there that they wanted to. But there's always, some of the most interesting things I've eaten have been on the sides. These are, I think these are macaroni and cheese balls. More frickles, because I can't resist frickles. And these were actually in Arizona, and it was a little sweet corn fritter that was unbelievable. As we headed south, we ended up in Nashville. There were a lot of famous barbecue places in Nashville. We pulled up Yelp. They were all centrally located, and I noticed one way off to the side sitting on a lake. And so again, this picture is here to remind me to pass on the advice. Go find the place that's out of the way. And sure enough, we got here. They were closing up. Most of their board they didn't have. They were out of most of their food, but they put together food for us, and we had a great experience. Got to see where the locals go to eat. So back to gas station food. This is actually not from a gas station, but this leads me into it. So I'm a brisket fan, and so whenever I go, I will at least get the brisket. If I'm traveling alone, I'll get brisket and then I'll get something else, because again, it's a once in a lifetime. And that reminds me, in a lot of places, if they don't have a sampler at a barbecue place, just ask them. They'll almost always put something together, because they know that you appreciate barbecue. If you're asking for that, now you're one of them. They want it, and I've had chefs come out and give me something that they just cooked that they wanted me to try, because they knew how much I was into barbecue. We'd stopped for lunch. I got brisket. I can't remember what my mom and my brother got, but it was very mediocre. And as we're driving away, we're down the highway. Probably a half hour later, I saw we needed gas, and I see this smoker on the grass median between the gas station and the street, and it's smoking away. And so I pull over, and my mom asks, "Oh, do we need gas?" I said, "Well, yeah, we do." So I go inside, and I ask the gentleman behind the counter, "So you guys make brisket?" "Oh yeah, best brisket you ever had." I said, "Yeah, that's what the place just told me at lunch, and it wasn't any good." No, you trust me, guaranteed best." So I looked at his prices, and I think a pound was $9. So I got a pound of brisket and went back to the car. Of course, to my brother and mother's order, that there was more food a half hour after lunch, but I was never going to be there again. And he just guaranteed me it was the best. And sure enough, it was one of the best briskets we had ever had. And we ate it for the next couple of hours, running down the road. And that was at Sargent's Pump Station Barbecue. So if you're in Arkansas, I don't remember the highway, but you see a smoker going, I would advise you to stop and try. This is Joe's Barbecue in Kansas City. Again, this is a big one that everybody goes to. We were visiting family there. They said, let's go down there. Big long lines. It kind of takes on that kind of Disneyland feel to it, where you're just one of a bunch of tourists. So it really doesn't have the authentic, hometown feel. So again, my advice: don't go to the main place unless you have a number of days there, and then you may want to try them. But again, we got the sampler, because I always like to sample all we can. Oh, we have dessert. barbecue places do great dessert. So luckily there were 3 of us on the trip, and so there was always at least one dessert, if not more. And nobody makes a pecan pie like those in the South. All right, so when I returned from the trip, I'd had such a good time eating barbecue that when the Active 2030 Club asked me to judge the Ribs for Kids event, of course I jumped at the opportunity. The first year there were only 4 of us judges. One of them was Farron from Farron's Barbecue, and it was really interesting to get to learn that from a professional what he was looking for in a rib, and the people who had done it right, people who had missed a few things. So I had such a good time doing that my wife and I went up to Oregon to a competition and actually got certified as a Kansas City Barbecue Society judge. So we can now judge events like the Wine Country BBQ. But what I found was that's so structured. The professional barbecue competitions are so structured that everybody's trying to do exactly the same thing. They're aiming for perfection in particular color and texture, and I really do enjoy the barbecue competitions like the 2030 clubs, where it's just backyard barbecuers, and they're trying different things. And some of them had some tequila in it, some of them were using lime, it's just you get it reminds me a lot of, I've judged chili cook-offs, official chili cook-offs, and then I put on the chili cook-off here in town. One here in town is not sanctioned, so there's any different numbers of types of meats and flavorings, and it's a much more enjoyable experience. So if you get a chance to go to some of these little barbecue competitions, I would advise it. You're going to meet some really great people and have some great food. So then we get to the local places, and luckily in the last couple of years, Petaluma really has evolved as far as barbecue goes. I mean, we've always had Lombardi's, which is excellent, but then other barbecue places have kind of come and gone. Now we have a pretty long list. This is some brisket from Brewster's. I know the chef from Brewster's. He actually comes from the South. His family had fried chicken restaurants, but he's also professionally trained. He's a classically trained chef. So he has a whole swath of items on his menu and makes some excellent brisket, excellent ribs, pecan pie, fried chicken, some of the best fried chicken I've had. These are his ribs. And you can see I'm usually battling the rest of the guests at the table to try to get pictures in before their hands are in the food. So they don't always turn out so well. This is from Farron's. And Farron, although he doesn't fall into one of the 4 main categories, he's New Orleans style. And although New Orleans, they don't make brisket. That's a Texas thing. He had so many requests that he decided to try it. And he's just that good because his brisket is excellent. And then he does things like gumbo. And he does an excellent bread pudding. Other places in town, Petaluma Market has an excellent, their little grill station out front is excellent. Taps has a smoker that they're running regularly. And I have to give a shout out to Dickey's. Although it's a chain, they do smoke their meat in-house. And we've been there a couple of times. Last minute, we're on the east side, and it was excellent. And then one of the kind of secret spots is Roy's. Roy's down at the yard, the hot doggery. He's friends with the chef at Lagunitas, and every Thursday night, the chef lets him use the smoker. So, on Friday night, he serves about 20 to 25 plates of brisket and the same of ribs. And they're absolutely phenomenal, but you got to get there because they sell out. It sells out within 20 or 30 minutes. I've heard you can call in reserve, yeah, absolutely excellent. And here's a little spot that most people wouldn't have heard of. And then finally, there's places like Brazil Barbecue. Now their barbecue's a little bit different, but still, it's a grilled meat. They have a lot of different options. Now, I should have given you a spoiler alert. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that want to know what the best place in town is. And if you follow my writing, you know that I don't ever talk about a best place. I rarely even talk about my favorite places because I recognize that my favorite may be different than your favorite. We may have different flavor profiles, what our palate enjoys. And also on any given day, one place might be excellent, another place might have stumbled that day. So that's why you won't see negative things from me in the newspaper, Petalamu's too small of a town for the food writer to be knocking the place. Also, as you all know, here in Petaluma, if you have a problem with your meal, you go talk to the owner, because the owner's there, and the owner will fix it. Not really fair to go online and leave a review, a negative review, when they can't really do anything about it. So that being said, I have my favorites in town, but I can't really tell you what's the best place. And of course, people always ask, I want to get ribs, what's the best place? Well, my advice, the best place is whatever place you get the best experience out of. And that's why I say when you're traveling, order everything on the menu that looks interesting, because it's the experience that you're going to have. When you go, my advice when you're home is take a group of people so that you can order everything on the menu and try everything. Or go back, try the different dishes at different times. But that's basically my advice is whatever your favorite is, and try barbecue wherever you can, because it's excellent all over the country. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm taking questions from all tables except Mike Badley's table.
Any questions, Paul?
All right.
Okay, well, Houston, I want to thank you very much for the great presentation. How do you say this?
People ask me that. I'm not. I try to wear black. And during the week, I eat about 800 calories a day. So it's a kind of a ridiculous starvation diet during the week so that I can eat on the weekends. And I'm not very happy during the week. I'm a very unhappy person.